Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So let's start with the kitab Al-Fatihah. Okay, this video will try to explain to you regarding the FYP thesis format. We'll go chapter by chapter. Okay, for chapter 1 on introduction, as you can see here, first you need to give a little bit of background about your research, and then you need to explain what is actually the problem that you would try to resolve from your study. And then you can state what is the purpose of your study, and this will bring into your research objective. Research objective is usually divided into general and specific objectives. So the general objective is summarizing all your objective into one sentence, and it is usually almost similar to your title. So general objective should mention about the study population and also the study area. So usually for FYP, I would say that 2 or 3 specific objectives should be adequate. But that is non-systematic review kind of research. But for systematic review, especially for FYP, I think you should focus on only one specific objective, because otherwise, if it is more than one, I'm afraid that it might be too much for your FYP project. Then it is followed by research question and research hypothesis. Please remember that your research objective, research question and research hypothesis, especially the specific objective, must tally with one another. Meaning, if your specific objective is A, then your research question also talking about A, and your research hypothesis also talking about A. Example, if I say my objective is to assess the effectiveness of treatment A towards disease B, then my research question would say, is treatment A is effective in order to manage disease B, something like that. And then your research hypothesis would be the expected answer for your research question. Meaning your research hypothesis here would be treatment A is effective to treat disease B. Okay, so specific objective, research question and research hypothesis must tally with one another. It cannot be different things. Okay, and then you mention why your study is significant, that it needs to be studied, and followed by definition of terms. Here is basically the working definition, because some terms might have a number of definition, so you need to mention what is the definition used in your study, and followed by the chapter summary. The next chapter is on literature review. Here you need to elaborate about your study, what is about the background of your research. So you might need to have subtopics like this. This is just example. It depends on your study. You might have up to 2.4, 2.5. Or maybe even 2.1 also you have sub 2.1.1. It depends. But if we go back to my example just now, to assess the effectiveness of treatment A on disease B, so 2.1 you might want to give some introduction on disease B. So for the disease, introduction, and then you might want to talk about the pathophysiology, signs, symptoms, treatment, prevention, and everything. And then followed by the elaboration on the treatment A itself. So for treatment A also you might have some introduction, and then the concept behind it, the frequency or whatever. So you might have your own subtopics for literature review. Okay, the next chapter is research methodology. So what I outline here is the general outline for any research. You can use it for any research. So you might want to start with study area, and then your study population, and of course the most important one is the study design. Yeah, so study design is very important. And if you do sampling, you need to select your subjects. You need to mention what is your sampling method, and followed by the sample size calculation. And also you must not forget the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So for systematic review, study area might not be relevant. Okay, but study population, maybe you can have this. For example, just now to assess the effectiveness of treatment A on disease B. So your study population will be the patients with disease B. Yeah, and then study design, mention whether it is cross-sectional, is it systematic review. Okay, and then give a little bit of explanation on your study design. Yeah, or even if it is a quasi-experimental study, for example. Yeah. So as for systematic review, sampling method might not be relevant, or you can just mention it depends on the different study that you included in your systematic review. Yeah, but even for systematic review, yeah, you would have your inclusion and exclusion criteria. But this one you might want to include under your data collection. So for systematic review under data collection, you can mention your step 1 to 5. Yeah, or maybe just step 1 to 3, and then for data analysis, you mention about the assessment of the quality of the study, yeah, and also how do you come up with your final summary, yeah, of your study. Yeah, so it is not strict. It is just this is just a guideline. Yeah, so of course it depends on your own study. So you need to cater accordingly. Yeah. So for other studies besides systematic review, of course you need to talk about ethical consideration, whereby you need to mention about voluntary and confidentiality, at least, yeah, that too. Yeah, and then you can give the reference number for your KPGRC approval, and also ethic committee approval. For systematic review, basically you don't need ethical approval, yeah, because you don't do any data collection. It is just secondary review, secondary data from other research. Okay, so next chapter is chapter 4, whereby you need to present your results. Before that, for your chapter 3 just now, the numbering would be 3.1, 3.2. Yeah, if you notice, I wrongly typed 2.1, 2.2, and so on. Okay, so chapter 4, again, you might want to have subtopics. Yeah, usually 4.1 is introduction. If it is the other type of data collection for cross-sectional, for example, 4.1, you might want to give your descriptive statistics of your subjects. Yeah, but for and then followed by 4.2 is for objective 1, specific objective 1, 4.3 for specific objective 2, and so on. Yeah, but for systematic review, yeah, maybe 4.1, if you want to give any introduction, and then you can present your assessment of the quality of the study under here, and then followed by the summary of results for your systematic review itself. Yeah, so your tables all should be under chapter 4. And then in chapter 5, yeah, you start with discussion 5.1, and then again you might want to have subtopics, yeah, whereby you might want to discuss according to your specific objectives. Yeah, or even for systematic review, yeah, maybe you want to mention something about the quality of study first, and then followed by the discussion on the systematic review itself. And then, of course, you need to come up with your conclusion. Yeah, so you need to conclude whatever results you get. Yeah, come up with a conclusion. Usually, this is just about one paragraph. Yeah, and then you need to mention about the limitation of the study. Yeah, and maybe related to your limitation of your study, you want to give recommendation for future research. Okay, the next chapter is references. Yeah, so for RIUM we use APA format. Yeah, so you can search online. Yeah, how you do your APA format. I know some of you might use Mendeley, but even if you use Mendeley, you need to check also, because I found most of the time that even by using Mendeley, the references can be wrong. Yeah. So of course you don't have to put APA format here, just references. Yeah. But you might notice that we have the format here. Yeah. It start with the side here, and then the second or third line is a little bit to the right. Yeah. So how do you do this? Okay, let's say you have your reference here. This is the usual format. Yeah, everything is on the left side here. So what you can do, you can highlight your references, and then you go to paragraph. You click that. So by default here, special here is none. So you need to click the arrow down here and you choose hanging. Okay, and then you can decide what is the left indent. Yeah, 1.25, or you need to check for the formatting, and then you click OK, and you get your reference format. Okay, and then the next one is appendices. Yeah, your last chapter would be appendices. Yeah, so this one also not necessarily you follow the one stated here, but again it depends on your study. Yeah, so if you do a survey, so of course you need to put your questionnaire here. Yeah, Malay and English version, and then again if you do data collection on the subjects, you need to put here the example, the samples of your research information sheet and consent form. Yeah, and KPGRC, this is KPGRC, yeah. KPGRC letter and also the IRAC letter, yeah, or any other appendices. But of course, for systematic review, you are not going to have the questionnaire, and you don't need research information sheet or consent form. Yeah, even your current KPGRC and IRAC is actually for your former planned research, yeah, not for the systematic review. So for systematic review, you might want to put in your appendices maybe the form that you use for your quality of assessment of your study, or any other relevant materials that you think can help the examiner to understand your study better. So that's about the guideline on your thesis format. Okay, we end with that I thank you, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.